U.S. residence in AlJazeera, which has been the scene of clashes between pro-Gaddafi forces and protesters. Meanwhile, one of Gaddafi's cousins and one of his closest aides says he has defected. Ahmed Gaddafi Ad-Dam says his decision was in reaction to the regime's fierce crackdown on protesters. Well, pro-Gaddafi forces have reportedly clashed with anti-government protesters in the coastal city of Misrata. Witnesses say clashes are continuing in the town, which is around 120 kilometers east of the capital, Tripoli. Well, as Muammar Gaddafi battles to keep control in the Libyan capital, the US president has weighed in on the violence there. Barack Obama made his first public comments on the crackdown in Libya on Wednesday, calling it outrageous and unacceptable. From Washington, Patty Culhane reports.
The world has been watching the images snuck out of Libya. Blood in the streets. Cries of pain and terror. The stories of overwhelming force and absolute carnage. After more than a week of relative silence, U.S. President Barack Obama voiced his concerns late Wednesday.
The suffering and bloodshed is outrageous, and it is unacceptable. So are threats and orders to shoot peaceful protesters and further punish the people of Libya. These actions violate international norms and every standard of common decency. This violence must stop.
U.S. presidents don't usually make such clear demands for fear that if they are ignored, they would have to act. So what is this president prepared to do?
I've also asked my administration to prepare the full range of options that we have to respond to this crisis. This includes those actions we may take and those we will coordinate with our allies and partners.
So far, he isn't giving much detail, but Obama is sending his Secretary of State to meet with allies at the Human Rights Council in Geneva next week.
While people are dying, the world's greatest power is preparing.
Still, the director of Human Rights Watch in D.C., Tom Malinowski, says the administration could be taking steps to send a message to the people around Muammar Gaddafi.
The U.S. could, for example, impose targeted sanctions on the Libyan government. It could block banks from conducting financial transactions.
Some have suggested a no-fly zone could be imposed. Pentagon officials say the U.S. has the assets in the area, but they are not currently preparing to take to the skies over Libya. The State Department says getting international approval to take that step would be difficult. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Well, let's look at exactly who controls what, according to reports. Well, Benghazi has been the center of the protests and was the first city where demonstrators took control. Reports of it falling appeared on Sunday. As journalists began to get into Libya on Tuesday, they went first to Tobruk and said there were no security forces in sight. And on Wednesday, images appeared of protesters on tanks in Misrata, and a doctor reported they were in control. Well, according to reports, pro-Gaddafi forces attacked protesters on Thursday. Al-Baida has also reportedly fallen. And the Italian government said that the protesters were in control in the entire east of Libya. Now, on Thursday, we hear AlJazeera and Zawara are in the hands of the demonstrators. But AlZawiya, which was reported as having fallen, is now facing attacks from forces loyal to Gaddafi. Well, let's get the thoughts of Awad Al-Faytouri. He is from the Libyan Information Center here in Doha. It's an organization that uses contacts in Libya to find out the latest on what's going on there. We've been hearing from him throughout the day. Let's discuss the geography of it and also this imminent speech we're expecting from Muammar Gaddafi. Strangely enough, as an outsider, I find it strange you might not. Why did Libyan state TV say that he's going to address the residents of AlZawiya? I mean, presumably he's addressing all of us, international media, the world, Libyans, but in particular he said the residents of AlZawiya. Why?
I think by AlZawiya falling in the hands of the demonstrators means that the people of AlZawiya, because it's not far from Tripoli, they will march to Tripoli. and this is a support for the people of Tripoli who are under siege by Gaddafi's forces. And he's trying to cut this road between AlJazeera and Tripoli. Again, he's got his colleague in what they call the military, the old military council, Al-Khweldi Al-Ahmadi's troops there. So they still holding in there. And his son Khamis, which I've just heard that he's been withdrawn from Al-Zawiya. And I've just heard that a camp called Bir Terfas is falling in the hands of the demonstrators.
So just looking at it, I mean, geographically, the fact that the Italian government saying the entire east of the country is
True.
in the hands of the protesters, would he still be able to survive politically if he lost the entire east of the country? Is he extra careful and extra concerned about a place like Zawiya because it's so close to Tripoli and it's in the west of the country?
What Gaddafi is right now playing on, as I told you before, is regional and tribalism. And he's now trying to say what the people of Libya now, they are responsible for dividing the country. And he's trying to play the saver of the divide from dividend of Libya. No, the people are aware of that. Gaddafi's, I think it's a matter of days. Gaddafi is going down, and I repeat that again and again. It's just a matter of buying time.
Again, we saw, again to talk about geography again, Al-Baida. We saw those pictures of the tribes and the former justice minister addressing them. The tribes getting together and showing unity at that tribal meeting against Gaddafi. But again, Al-Baida in the far east of the country. Does that only suggest that these are only the eastern tribes?
No, it doesn't mean. They just happened that people of Al-Baida got together.
Right.
The people of Benghazi, they will do that if necessary. The people of Jdabia, and I expect that they will follow suit. The people will get there, especially in Jdabia, because it's a tribal city, and in Jalo, they will serve. It's just happened that Al-Baida just took the lead of having these meetings and these councils.
Now, just before we came to you, our correspondent in Washington, Patty Culhane, gave us the United States reaction and the strongest words yet from the US and the first words from President Barack Obama with regards to the situation in Libya, calling it outrageous and unacceptable. As somebody who is no fan of Muammar Gaddafi, is that enough for you to show that the US president is supporting the protesters?
Not at all. Not at all. Even this reaction came too late. How long does it take Barack